Hey TV fans, Bored now back with you. On this video I'm going to be talking about the White Lotus Season 3 Episode 5. The episode is called Full Moon Party. Full spoilers. The theme of this episode, or the themes at least, are definitely hedonism versus religion, and those themes play a big part. And we see that contrasted really well in the episode as it's set over this one night of the full moon party. It's another very solid episode. I would say it's entertaining. There's lots of great dialogue. Again, very stylish the way this night is captured, and the visuals of things like firework, and you get the exotic dance at one point by Lisa, member of Blackpink. One or two tense moments. I don't think it's as good as last week. I'm not sure. The stuff on the boat last week definitely trumps pretty much everything in this episode. Piper telling her parents finally about her plans to live in Thailand after graduation. The highlights and a lot of the best dialogue definitely come from these interactions, and Victoria's reactions particularly. Victoria saying, "You're not a Buddhist because you're not from China." Piper pointing out she is a Buddhist. I also like "we're from different worlds," that line from Victoria. But Piper's sharp response of, "You're a Christian, yet you're not from Jerusalem." Great point. And the mother just scrambling to try and argue that point. It is so sort of glorious. And you've got Timothy looking on at this all gone out, like he doesn't register that much of a reaction throughout. They both give a sort of a stunned reaction though when she points out and comes clean that she didn't come out here for her thesis after all. It was more to scout out and look into this course. Victoria shouting out, "You're moving to Taiwan?" And the reaction around the resort is also fantastic, because this again is at dinner. This is out in the opening. It's intertwined a little bit because you've got Gotong, who's desperately searching the office for the gun, and him and Timothy, for very different reason, are desperate, and they're sweating. He looks on the security footage and he sees Timothy leaving the office with the gun. He doesn't tell Fabian, of course, and that makes things even more. You can tell he's visibly stressed, and I think Fabian smells that something is afoot. By the way, Fabian, even more of a villain in this episode. I'm starting to dislike him even more. When he asks Gotham what he's doing, he says he wants to see Morg for a minute, which is like a cover. Fabian says later because she's about to perform. The tension, when Gotham's looking at Timothy across the courtyard, finally approaches him when he goes to the toilet. And this is a scene where one of the scenes they could have done a bit more of, but he just says, "I think I've lost something. I think you've got it." Timothy just dismisses him, saying, "I don't know what he's talking about," basically. So that sort of brings to the end that. But as I said, there's some good stakes because of Gotang frantically trying to get the gun back in time and not letting on to his employer, Fabian, after Victoria has finally gone to bed, I think. And it's when Piper's talking to the father about it, and he's barely read. He starts talking about how the mother's just worried and that kind of thing, but he doesn't get very far because he's still high, he's still very frantic and out of it, and he just starts singing a song basically like this. I can't remember what the song was, but it felt like some sort of religious song, but it's just this very inappropriate thing, and it's Piper's okay, I'm off to bed as well. Book cover. That was another scene that cracked me up, because it's Piper saying, "This guy is published," and Victoria's "So was Charles Manson, so was Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Hillary's done like 5 books. The list goes on and on. And I think that implies she might be a little bit of a typical like Southern Republican. But it's just funny sticking Bill and Hillary Clinton in the same breath as Charles Manson. And there was something funny about where Piper shows her the book cover, and she's almost freaked out by how he looks on the book cover. It looks like a Harry Christian, and throwing all sorts of shade. So it's good stuff once again. And this family tends to be entertaining. Room, Timothy has the gun and he's about to kill himself. And it's at that moment Victoria comes out, surprises him, really say what's up. But it's like, she's like, okay, come back to bed. And what's interesting then is when she goes back to bed, because he says, I'll be in a minute, he starts praying to God. Now, that it's mentioned that they're religious anyway, but this also, I think, could be him trying to take a leaf out of Piper's playbook. It's like he's at the final straw, and maybe turning to religion is the last resort for him, and praying God, some kind of God at least, for a way out. So lots of fun to be had with that family again. And we continue with the fun really because of the stuff with Saxon and Lachlan. Saxon saying that saying that Chloe seems to be into Lachlan, but he's gonna go after Chelsea because she can't stand him, and he finds that a turn on. It's like this idea of a challenge, but it also taps into this very masculine, like, male ego of, well, if the girl doesn't like me, I'll make her like me, rather than just going for, because Chloe seems to be the one who would be the more happy to get down with him. Chelsea very much trying to stay loyal to Rick. We hear how she's worried about him going off on this revenge mission in Bangkok. I'm not sure if she's actually told Chloe about what he plans to do or the whole story, but she does say, I'm worried he can be a maniac. And the interesting tidbit back from Chloe, Gary, like, we used to fuck 3 times a day or something, and now it's it's not happening. I can't remember the actual line, but it's just, he's just not interested anymore. Or he would kill me maybe, or he has killed people, or he could kill, that kind of thing. And there's this whole thing again hinting a little bit at maybe Chloe knows a bit more than she's let on so far about Gary and his past. But things get pretty wild. They pick up some drugs at some point from a contact that Chloe knows, because she's trying to encourage Chelsea to, like, let's just have a good time, let's get down. Because at one point she's implying almost the 4 of them should all do it together, like it's a whole, like, almost like a foursome. And Chelsea keeps resisting so much. And there's some fun dynamics, because, like, when she's walking with Saxon and he's trying to impress her, and he's got all this bravado coming out. I do quite like when she says, well, you could start by not being so weird. So she's got the measure of Saxon in many ways, which I do enjoy. But like I said, you get some good visuals with the firework. Chelsea is trying to get hold of Rick. He can't get hold of him. Gradually, as the night goes on, it's the final straw for Chelsea. It's like, what the hell, let's sort of get thrown down. And they're all getting high. I think I've read somewhere that maybe Lachlan doesn't actually take the drug. Like, I've seen a video somewhere that says he spits it out. I'm not sure. There is a little tease that maybe because he's not so experienced in this stuff, then something might happen, but it doesn't. He just sort of flops back on the beach, but it's fine. But then later on, when they're back on the boat, Chelsea and Chloe, where they have a bit of a kiss and the boys are like, okay, this is wild. But then also, out of nowhere, Lachlan kisses Saxon. And it's not like just a brief kiss, it's a full-on kiss, it's on the lips. And it's for a good few seconds, and the girls look at themselves. And Saxon's look is very interesting because in some ways I think he's too high to really register, like fully. He has a gone out look, but I think you can see a little bit of a look of, whoa, okay, what was that, brother? What did you just do? So it was full on. So again, we're hinting at this hidden sexuality from Lachlan. It's all a little bit cringe, very uncomfortable a little bit, but it's something that they've been teasing quite nicely throughout the season, I think. And yeah, it's an interesting moment. And I think the direction of the episode is very good too, the way they're cutting between these characters, and you get these small, quite intimate scenes as well as the big, colourful scenes, which are really well done, I think, also. So I might as well talk about Rick in Bangkok next. Meet up with an old friend, Fred, I think the character's name was, and he's played by Sam Rockwell in a surprise cameo. I heard somewhere he's married to Leslie Bibb. An impression. So it's this old friend, they meet up after all these years. He gives Rick a gun at one point. It's revealed later it's a gun, it's a bag, but there's a gun in there. So this like catch-up conversation, it's like Fred says he's a recovering alcoholic, he's found religion, so again that links into the themes of the episode. But then he just goes on this insane diatribe and this monologue, because they cut back and forth, like you have scenes interspersed where you have these scenes which don't necessarily seem to be going anywhere. Like you're quite intrigued by them, but they just seem a bit like filler scenes. But when you get to the meat of what's really going on in the scene, it's really good stuff. Because he starts talking about how when he first moved to Bangkok, he was having sex every night. He was having sex with a different woman. He was hiring all these Asian girls and he couldn't get enough. Again, this theme of hedonism compared with like the idea of religion or some kind of faith, and maybe not being so much like drawn into that kind of world. So he says it was a free-for-all, really. He couldn't get enough of these Asian girls, different girls every night. And then after a while, he says he started asking himself a question about, is this really fulfilling? Like, it's just the same thing over and over again. After a while, he realised he was just using them, not really getting that much out of it. And he starts going on this weird sort of, like, speech about how he wanted to get to know them, how he wanted to almost think like an Asian girl or be like an Asian girl. He wanted to be like them, and you're sort of wondering where this story is going at this point. Then started doing himself up like an Asian girl, like the whole shebang, and he would then call like white guys basically, so that reversing the role. And he's got this term lady boys for like the girls. And then he says how one time he hired like an Asian girl to watch him dressed as an Asian girl having sex with a regular like a white guy. And it's like, okay, this story really went places, and it's just brilliant. It's this really darkly funny and comfortable scene, which is just surreal as well. And Sam Rockwell, of course, does a fantastic job delivering it. And it's just really fascinating because you're not really sure whether you're sympathetic with this guy, whether you just feel sorry for him, whether you feel sad for him, whether you think he's a complete monster and screwed up. And I think that's what's so good about the scene, is it's like all of them apply maybe almost in one. And Walter Goggins sells it really well as well. Like, his stunned reactions are really spot on, and yeah, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. I think another thing to take away from the scene is that it's almost like, maybe in a funny sort of way, it gives Rick a bit of comfort, because it's that idea of sometimes when you meet up with like an old friend and it's been like years, and you almost don't recognize them as the same person, like so much has happened, and it works the other way. Sometimes you pick up with people after years and they are like the same people, but in this case there are clearly things that are different about this guy, and he's got these weird stories to tell. And I do think in some ways it's like a comfort a bit to Rick, because it's almost like, okay, maybe my life is a bit more normal after all. The episode does a good job of shooting these more intimate scenes. Rick says, I might need one more favour for you, and he just mentions a performance or something like that, and he says, just keep me open for tomorrow night if you could. And Fred says he will, so it's possible we might get another Sam Rockwell appearance in the next episode, really. But you wonder, this stuff that he's hearing from this old friend and Chelsea's influence as well, whether he's starting to have second thoughts about, is he going to go through with this? Because later on he goes back to his room and he tries to call Chelsea, and it's at that point where she's tried him a few times and hasn't gotten through, and she's gone off, and it's like, hey, what the hell, I'm going to have a wild time. Trio of girls, they're having a wild time with Valentine and a group of his friends, so they all go out for the full moon party, and there's some fun comic stuff in this, like the friend who just keeps talking about his dead mother randomly. They do shots at one point. Laurie is, again, maybe in a very forceful, over-the-top way, just encouraging everyone. Let's get wild, let's get down. And once again, these are, especially I think Valentine, like he is a younger guy, and it's this let's get it on type thing, and let's relive our youth with these younger guys. Give a shout out to Leslie Bibb as Kate in this episode, because I think she gives one of the best performances, because she is the one who's very much on the fence about this stuff and about being just a little bit more prudish and not wanting to partake, and whereas the other two seem to be going at it full barrels, especially Laurie. Leslie Bibb does some really great acting here, because there's a bit where they go into like the swimming pool back at the villa, and one of the guys gets topless, and you've got Laurie really going for it as well. And yeah, because there's stuff like when they're back at the party, you've got these girls looking on who you assume are ex-girlfriends or something of the guys, or something like that, and at one point they get into like a shouting match with one of them, and that doesn't really take Laurie out of the party mood either. But when they're back in this swimming pool, and Kate nervously watching at the edge of the pool, and she's got this nervous smile, so she is putting on some graces that she's actually enjoying it, or she's kind of into it, but you can tell she's not fully committed like the others. You got her in a more colourful pyjamas wear for the evening, and a nice directing choice having her on the edge of the pool, so it's that idea of she's not fully committed, she's on the edge almost. Good acting from Leslie Bibb, like her very awkward, nervous reaction, I'm a bit over this, I don't want to do this type stuff. So she sells it really well, and then you get the twist a bit later on. Jocelyn goes and sleep with Valentine, so all season she's been trying to force Laurie onto him, and like, yeah, he's really into you, you should go to it. So there's this whole twist where she actually goes to Valentine's room near the end of the episode and they get together. So there's going to be a lot of stuff in the morning in the next episode, I think, and maybe a lot of regret the next morning. But yeah, that's, you know, quite a fun little twist. Belinda, and this is where Fabian tells Belinda that this rich guy is looking for her, and the rich guy is obviously meant to be Gary. Belinda starts discreetly telling Fabian about Gary, about who he is, and she looked him up and saying, you know, I'm worried he could kill me. Maybe we should call the police. And this is when Fabian shows his true colours, because he dismisses her, saying he doesn't really think the guy's a threat, calling the police isn't necessary. And he just has this very condescending, passive-aggressive line to her where he almost says, like, if you just do your job, everything will be okay. So there's definitely this vibe that management at this hotel are covering stuff up, and that maybe they know a little bit more about what's going on, or just this idea that if you're rich and you're going to give the hotel money, it doesn't matter to the hotel, but up to a point at least, unless something really bad happens, that they're just going to keep covering up for you or turning like a blind eye. So yeah, there's that stuff which is quite intriguing. Shady shit, like, is the hotel involved in some stuff or hiding some stuff, or is it just, like, as I said, they're just happy to keep the money rolling in as long as there's no major issues. I know some people have speculated about who the robbers are going to be, like, from a few episodes ago. Like, is that going to be a thing? Like, because I speculated at the time that maybe Gotten did that on purpose, to try and get closer to Morg. But as the weeks have gone on, I'm not so convinced about that so much. But yeah, I guess that's another little mystery. I never really thought of it as a big thing of, like, we would actually find out who the robbers were. Fabian is with Belinda is like pretty shitty. So she goes back to her room later on with the Porchon, who's the other part of the exchange, and there's been a bit of a romantic vibe. And there's quite an amusing scene where like she's panicked because she thinks someone's outside or something, and he does that thing which isn't really going to comfort her. Like, actually, there's someone in the room. He opens like the cupboard, and would you know it, a lizard comes out, and that's pretty common, I guess, in Thailand at times. And she freaks the hell out, and yeah, it's a whole thing where he defends her and is able to get rid of the lizard, but that puts her on edge. I mean, who knows, maybe Porchon, who clearly has a thing for Belinda, maybe he did it on purpose to get close to her. That's a bit cynical, but who knows. And there's this whole thing where she says she wants to spend the night with him in his room at that point. It's not at first anything romantic, it's just she's fearing for her life with Gary about Gary/Greg, and she says, tomorrow my son gets here, so it'll be fine, but for tonight, can you please stay with me? And they start talking about consent, and they do get together, so it's quite sweet. You're sort of happy for Belinda, pretty into it once again, and great Sam Rockwell cameo, obviously. So yeah, let me know what you think of this episode of The White Lotus in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Share me out on social media. You can support me becoming a channel member. 3 different tiers on the channel, or you can support me on patreon.com/borednow for just $1 a month. For similar type of TV, which I'm doing at the moment, I'm covering Yellow Jackets, also in season 3 of that. And for something coming up, I will be covering season 2 of The Last of Us, as I did with the previous season. I will just say that I have a trip coming up soon, which will be for a few weeks, so I will unfortunately get a bit behind on these reviews, because the White Lotus, I will do next week's episode of the White Lotus, but I think there's one more after that. I think there's 7 episodes. I'm not quite sure. So the final episode will have to wait till I get back, if there is 7. And with the Yellow Jackets, there will be a few episodes. So unfortunately, with me going away, yeah, it is at that time. So I will have to catch up with those when I come back, and that's when I will start The Last of Us season 2, which probably will be a couple of episodes in. But that's the way it goes. But there you have it. Just to warn you that I will have to catch up on some stuff. Thanks for listening. Again, let me know your thoughts on this episode. Keep watching TV, guys. See you soon. Bye.
He's had a thing for Asian girls, you know. And when I got here, I was like a kid in a candy store. If you got money, no attachments, nothing to do, I started partying.
Yeah.
It got wild.
Mm-hmm.
I was picking up girls every night. Always different ones. Petite ones, chubby ones, older ones, sometimes multiple ladies a night. I was out of control. I became insatiable.
Yeah.
And, you know, after about 1,000 nights like that, you start to lose it. I started wondering, where am I going with this? Why do I feel this need to fuck all these women? What is desire? The form of this cute Asian girl, why does it have such a grip on me? Because she's the opposite of me? Is she gonna complete me in some way? I realized I could fuck a million women, I'd still never be satisfied. Maybe what I really want is to be one of these Asian girls.
Really?
No, really. One night I took home some girl, turned out to be a lady boy, which I'd done before, but this time, instead of fucking the lady boy fucked me. And it was kind of magical. And I got in my head what I really wanted was to be one of these Asian girls, getting fucked by me, and to feel that. So I put out an ad looking for a white guy, my age, come over and fuck me. Found a guy looked a lot like me. Then I put on some lingerie and perfume, made myself look like one of these girls. And I thought I looked pretty hot. Guy came over and railed the shit out of me. And then I got addicted to that. Some nights 3, 4 guys would come over and rail the shit out of me. Some I even had to pay. And at the same time, I'd hire an Asian girl to just sit there and watch the whole thing. I'd look in her eyes while some guy was fucking me, and I'd think, I am her, and I'm fucking me. Hey, we all have our Achilles heel, man, you know. Where does it come from? Why are some of us attracted to the opposite form?
Yeah.
And some of us the same. Sex is a poetic act. It's a metaphor. Metaphor for what? Are we our forms? Am I a middle-aged white guy on the inside too? Or inside, could I be an Asian girl?
Right. I don't know.
Guess I was trying to fuck my way to the answer. I gotta stop the drugs, the girls, you know, trying to be a girl. I got into Buddhism, which is all about, you know, spirit versus form, detaching from self, getting off the never-ending carousel of lust and suffering. Being sober isn't so hard. Being celibate, though, I still miss that buzzy, man.
First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the woman.
Scarface.
Gotta get gangster around here.
I need to deal with something, and I need your help.
He knows about you.
Me?
Why are you antagonizing her?
I'm not like you. Sometimes I just have to be honest.
I just need 10 minutes with the guy, and I need your help.
Breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. Goodbye.